This is section 7.1. We're going to apply the Pythagorean theorem. This is my favorite chapter in the whole text, so hopefully you get some enjoyment out of it too. This is a review. Here's a right triangle. The two sides that touch the right angle of this triangle are called legs, and the side that doesn't touch the right angle is called the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle. One of the most famous theorems in mathematics is called the Pythagorean theorem. It's named for an ancient Greek mathematician named Pythagoras. This theorem can be used to find information about the lengths of the sides of a triangle. If two sides of a right triangle are known, then the other side can be calculated. So what's nice about any right triangle is if you know two of the sides, you can always find the third side. So here's an example using that. A 16-foot ladder rests against the side of a house, and the base of the ladder is 4 feet away. Approximately how high above the ground is the top of the ladder? So we have this building. The ladder is 4 feet away from the building, and we know the ladder is 16 feet long. How long is this portion in the diagram? It's the distance that the ladder is from the ground. Well, if you go back to what you know about right triangles, the longest side of a right triangle is the hypotenuse, and that's this 16. So these other two sides must be shorter than 16. The 4 definitely is. Now this side that's the x, that's got to be less than 16 feet also. So it makes no sense for the answer to be any of the first 3 because they're all bigger than 16. It's got to be less than 16. Now on the next slide, we're going to show you how you're actually going to calculate that to be accurate. To find that x, here's what you would do. You would take the square root of your biggest side, which is your hypotenuse, squared, minus one of the legs squared. So we'll do hypotenuse squared minus leg squared. Take the square root of that. That'll give you the exact answer. That's what the Pythagorean theorem is. In a right triangle, the square of the length of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the lengths of the legs. So leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. Or in other words, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A and B are always going to be the legs. Those are going to be the sides that touch the right angle. C is going to be the hypotenuse. So if you want to do this in a quicker fashion and get A or B by itself, you would subtract that from your C squared and then unsquare the variable to get either A or B by itself. So if you want to know how long either of the legs are, do what I did on my last slide. You take the square root of the hypotenuse squared minus the leg squared. Now, if you want to find the hypotenuse and you know both legs, then you take the square root of leg squared plus leg squared.